Oh yeah, who's got that 16-2 feeling? Oh, I do. I do. Ah, love it. Look, I get it. It was just the San Antonio Spurs, but that's 3-0 on the road trip, and the Lakers are just blowing by teams right now. It's really nice to see them how well they play in that second half. A little sloppy in the first, much better in the second half. I am Greg Bergman, at Bergman Greg on Twitter, at Bergman Greg on Instagram, and you are watching the Showtime Forum. So thank you very much for being here as always. Sorry I haven't been around as much. It's just crazy life, and sometimes I got to have Devon come in, and he does a great job here. So thank you guys for being here tonight. That's all that really matters. And what we like to do when it all first starts off, after another win, let's try and read some of the things that you guys want to say to start things off, and then I'll get into a little bit about what I want to say. Fisticuff 1 says AD couldn't abuse old LaMarcus. Big concern. I wouldn't call that a big concern. I would call that just LaMarcus Aldridge being still a good to decent player that can hit those shots and go off on a night, on some random night, which he did tonight. So another one of those games, just look, that's not the best AD game. He's also playing on the road. It's tough to play in San Antonio. Just a little bit of that going on right there. So I'm not worried about Anthony Davis. Let's put it that way. All right, I'm not too worried about Anthony Davis. He's going to be just fine. And again, look, the Lakers are 15-2 again. Tony Zavala 67. I got that feeling. Yes, you do. Selly sells. Lakers, love it. Donovan Bryan 8. Great win, but we really do miss Bradley's defense. Yes, we do miss Bradley's defense, but I don't know if you're going to kick KCP off that starting rotation. It's going to be a little bit interesting to see how that goes down. We'll get more into that in just a few minutes because I know everybody loves talking about KCP, so I will. D Fanatic, this is fun again. Yes, that's the biggest thing. This is fun again. We're watching a fun Lakers team again. That's the important thing. Over there on Instagram, BMain24 says, Greg, how you, buddy? Another nice W. KCP growing on you, LOL. Yeah, KCP is on, as he's playing right now, absolutely. Another one here, Hoju 27-27. Do we keep KCP in the starting lineup even when Bradley comes back? Most likely he's going to take that step back, but we'll see. Charlie 81, what do you think about KCP? Apparently this is going to be the KCP show, so we'll get all these out of here. Let me try and get all these. Zelfred Guerrero says KCP no longer on doo-doo list. Now it's Kuz. That last play for him was ugh. Anything else from KCP? Did anybody else want to talk about KCP before I start getting in there? Let's see. Let's go. Lakers from Eric Mon 92. We love KCP from Who's There on Instagram. Robert Dixon 2011. Lakers need more wing defenders. Yeah, they always have and they always will. KCP is ballin' from Python Java C. Kuzma needs some milk from the Laker Raider. Yeah, look, we'll get into him too. But here. KCP, this is where we're going to start out, okay? You guys want to start out with KCP? We're going to start off with just that guy. Now, this is something that's been going on back and forth on Twitter, and a lot of people, they're saying this, and KCP at the beginning of the year was a disaster. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He was an absolute disaster. He was making $12 million after he just made $18 million last year and is taking a lot of money from the Lakers, and to which he has not played up to those contracts. He played terribly in the first few games of the season and was just a disaster. He couldn't find a basket. He was airballing layups. He was airballing three-pointers. He was throwing balls out of bounds. His defense wasn't all that great. Since he stepped into the starting lineup, he has been fantastic. He has been hitting his three-point shot. He's been playing great, strong defense. He's been doing everything that you kind of need from him to be doing. He's being the two-way defender that you need. He's hitting little jump shots in the lane. He's getting to the basket. He's hitting wide-open three-pointers, which is kind of what you need to do on a LeBron James team, is hit wide open three-pointers, and he's doing just that. So to be upset with him now would just be kind of crazy. Look, we're going to have these ups and downs with guys. We have to understand that this is not hating. Just because a guy does not play well and he's rightfully criticized doesn't mean that when he's playing well and we say something nice about him that we were just haters before. This is just talking about what we're seeing on the floor on a nightly basis. And you guys come on here to talk about what you're seeing, and I try to tell you what I am. If KCP is playing poorly, I'm going to say KCP is playing poorly. If KCP is playing well, I'm going to come on here and say, man, KCP is balling out right now. Look at him. He had 14 points tonight, another three-pointer, another three-pointers. He had an assist. He had 2 steals. He had a block. He was doing the things that KCP needs to do. I'm sorry, but there's just not. Those are all positive numbers from him. I saw that he's been playing good, strong defense where he's not allowing guys to completely back him down. Danilo Gallinari the other night when they were playing, what was that? Memphis. No, it wasn't Memphis. Who am I thinking of? Whoever they were just playing the other night. It was on a Monday. Can't think of who the team was. But anyway, Danilo Gallinari was not able to back him down. He was doing the things that he needed to do. Now, when it comes to the Lakers right now, they are 15-2, and it's great to see that. And then now they've won 8 in a row. Is that right? We got 8 in a row here. Is that? Tell me my numbers here. Yes, 8 in a row now for the Lakers, 15-2, and yes, we are starting to see a team but they're playing bad teams that they should be beating, and that's the sign of a good team, that even when they're struggling, they're able to come through and get wins. And what is it all going to be about? They're playing not so great in the first half. Their offense is playing okay, but their defense has been a little bit more where they're allowing more 3-pointers than they had been throughout most of the regular season. And now teams like the San Antonio Spurs, who was really bad at taking 3-point shots to the point where they really don't take very many of them, is hitting, they hit 10, 12 3-pointers tonight. I mean, when you're doing that, it's interesting because, let's see, the Spurs went 10 of 25 from the 3-point range. Now, 10 3-pointers, okay, fine, but that's 40% of their shots. They're hitting 40% on their 3-point shots. That's going to lead to them getting more points, and it's going to start being a little bit more difficult to defend, especially. But here's the thing, and Frank Vogel loves talking about it over and over again, is that guys are getting their hands up in front of it. They're contesting these shots. They're just going in. And whether you want to call that good, bad defense, indifferent, whatever you want to call it, shots are falling for teams right now. Like Memphis hit their first 8 shots. They were being contested, but they're not getting there. But they're going in right now. Python Java C says once we get Iggy, it's good game for the league. I totally agree. But look, Memphis is playing a lot of hardball right now. They do not want to just waive or to release Iggy because they think that why are they going to just give him away? Which makes total sense. At least hold him onto him until the trade deadline and see if you can get something for him. Get some sort of assets for him. Now, if you just release him, then he gets to choose wherever he wants to go. Most likely he chooses to come to the Lakers, and that's what we all want, and that's what we're all hoping for. But why would Memphis do it is what we kind of have to look at it as. Why is Memphis going to just say, all right, go ahead, take Andre Iguodala and get a decent 3-point shooter and a great defender and a big-time leader for your team? Just not going to happen. Let's see. I got NButNet talking about positive surprises. Rondo, he was secretly our second best player today. It happens a lot with Rondo because Rondo does a lot of the things. Now, he is a bad defender, and when Rondo is on the floor, the defense really, really struggles. That's just how it is. He's going to get in. He's going to get a hand on a ball every once in a while. He's going to dive for a loose ball, and he's going to be able to make a decent stop every once in a while. But for the most part, he is an albatross when it comes to defense. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad. And that's why he's so much better on the second unit, because when he's there, he's able to just push the pace up the floor. He can find open shooters. He can find LeBron stretch going down the lane, or if it's Anthony Davis, whoever it happens to be. And those are the types of things that he does. And if he's hitting 3-pointers in a game like he was tonight, what was he? I think at one point he was 3 for 3, but he ended up 3 for 3 for another 13 points. Those are the types of things that you're going to get from Rondo. And some nights he's going to be great offensively, and he's going to get a bunch of assists, and he's going to do a bunch of great things. But you have to watch on the defensive end too, where he's just not very good. How many assists tonight, Greg, before the fourth quarter? Fisticuff, 1. If you're talking about LeBron, he had 9 going into the fourth quarter. He had 1 in the first quarter, 0 in the second quarter, 8 in the third quarter, and then he had 4 or 5 going in the fourth quarter. So it's not. So if you're looking at the assist numbers for LeBron, doesn't matter when he gets them. It's the fact of the matter that he gets them when they count. I would rather him get his 9 assists or what did it end up with, 12 assists in the second half than opposed to the 1 in the first half. Give them to me in the second half when they actually matter more and you can pull away and get up to a 13-point lead and win by 10. That's how that's going to happen. I am Gooner Locke says 33-14, 2-1. What a night. We needed him to carry us tonight, and he did. Yes. And that's the great thing about having two superstars on your team is that you're going to have a night where Anthony Davis goes off for 35 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals, and let's say 6 assists. Other nights, you're going to have LeBron go for 33 points, 14 assists, two rebounds. Sometimes those rebounds are way up, and sometimes they all change. So that's what you have when you have two superstars on your team against bad teams. And let's call it like it is. The 2 games against San Antonio, they're a bad team right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they move DeMar DeRozan and get some more young pieces, and they do okay. But right now, San Antonio Spurs are 6-12. That's just a bad team all the way around right now. And you know who's a better team than them, just by a percentage point? The New Orleans Pelicans, who you're now going to have to see on Wednesday. Now, if the Lakers can go on this road trip and win 4 straight games and take all 4 wins on the road trip, I will be shocked and be ecstatic and be really happy. And they really should, because these are bad teams and you're supposed to beat up on the bad teams. The issue is that New Orleans plays very high tempo, very up pace, takes a lot of 3-point shots, and you're playing against guys that really want to get their revenge. You're playing against Josh Hart and Lonzo Ball, who's coming off the bench, Brandon Ingram, who's going to want to ball out against the Lakers. It's going to be a revenge type game, and Anthony Davis is going to want to do the same in New Orleans as well. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think that the Lakers are going to win that game, but I would not be surprised if that's the one loss on this road trip, just because of the back-to-back that they had on Friday and Saturday, and then they had to go against, it was Oklahoma City Thunder. That's who it was, by the way. Oklahoma City into Memphis, and then over to San Antonio, and then to New Orleans. It's a road trip where you're not having a lot of days off. A back-to-back with only 2 days off in between. You're starting to get tired a little bit closer down towards the end, and you're starting to see them with the slower legs. So if they lose that game on Wednesday, I will not be surprised, but I will also expect a win, which is kind of weird to say, but I expect them to get a win that way. I didn't say LeBron, LOL, you slick. I'm not sure what it was you were talking about then. Sorry, fisticuff. I'm looking at as they come up, so I was just assuming, and I was wrong. Jamal Crawford. Oh, Jamal Crawford is, again, a guy who's 39, 40 years old, who just shoots, and that's about it. Spurs played hard, to be honest. I am Gooner Lux. They played extremely hard, but that's the difference between a good team and a bad team. When you have a team like the Spurs that are 6-12 and are just not being able to find their rhythm, is that they're going to play hard for the first half. It happened with Memphis. It happened with Oklahoma City. It happens with a lot of the bad teams that you're going to see, is that they play hard for 3 quarters, and then when it gets towards the end of the third quarter, most of the fourth quarter, they fall apart because they just put out too much energy and they just don't have the legs. They don't have the players to stick around with good teams like the Lakers. Just how it's going to work out. And the Lakers being 15-2, you have got to be kidding me right now. That is a hell of a start. And it makes it so much better going down this the further you get, and especially getting into December when you're going to start having tougher games. There's a back-to-back coming up where you have to play at Denver and then at Utah on back-to-back nights. I would not expect a win on both of those games. But if it happens, hell, that's unbelievable. But those are games that are going to be extremely tough. 2 tough teams that play really, really tough at home, too. If you look at the Denver Nuggets at home are 7-2, so they have lost a couple, and the Jazz are 8-1. 2 teams that play very well on their home floor, and having to play them back-to-back nights, extremely difficult. Would not expect them to win both of those, but it would be a hell of a win if they do. MG's Raiders, a motivated Lonzo B.I. and Hart could be interesting to play against. Yes, it is going to be interesting, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to it to see. Look, I loved Ingram's game, and he's been a hell of a player this year, to the point where he's averaging like 27 points. He's hitting his 3-point shot at a very high clip, I think like 45%. He's just doing a lot of the things that you kind of are expecting to. They have a good rim protector in Jackson Hayes. Drew Holiday is a great defender, and a great player just all the way around. So that's a really strong team. And JJ Redick doesn't really miss from 3-point range very much. So while they're another team that's just like the Lakers last year, where they can keep it close for 3 quarters and then fall apart in the fourth quarter. It's kind of what I expect here. But don't expect them holding this team under 100 points. This is going to be another one of those games where it's 130 to 120 or something along those lines. Points will be scored. The Pelicans are terrible defensively, but they're also very, very good offensively. Laker Connection says, I hope Brandon can come back home in the future. Yeah, you hope so. I don't think that he's going to. I don't. That's just one of those guys. If there's anybody from that young core that you think that you're like, that has a possibility of coming back, Josh Hart's not one of them. Brandon Ingram probably not the guy to come back. He's kind of flourishing by being on a bad team, which you kind of were expecting. Lonzo Ball would be the one guy out of all with those three guys that I would expect to come back. It would have a chance of coming back because he never said anything negative about the Lakers. He never said anything that was detrimental to him coming back here. He's only been positive about it. I think he's always wanted to be with the Lakers, and I think he would love to come back if he ever had the chance. Where can I get that hat? LOL from R3N30. I got this at the Lakers store or just the store right there at Staples Center. Bought it right there at the Lakers store. It's not anything crazy. Just walk at Staples Center that's the team store. Go in there. That's where this hat was. I got it last year though, so you may not be there anymore. But it is a pretty nice hat, right? I like this one. I got a bunch of them. I got an AD hat over there. Got Laker hat up there somewhere. Yeah, got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Anyway, back to tonight, and let's talk about some of the other things. I am Goonerlock says, Berg, any news on Avery? I hope he is back next year. Yeah, I don't know much about what's going on with Avery. I haven't seen too many reports on it. I just know that he is injured, and he's going to be out for probably a couple of weeks. I think he broke something, or it's a stress fracture, or something along those lines, and he's going to be done for a little while. So I wouldn't expect to see Avery Bradley back for at least another week or two. But Mike Trudell will probably know way more than I do. Art89, do you see Ingram getting a max contract? I won't see him getting a max contract, especially since we haven't seen what he looks like playing next to Zion Williamson. That's going to be a little bit of a different thing. Hairline fracture. Thank you, SoCal King. But I don't expect Ingram to get a max contract. Once you actually see how he plays alongside Zion and how that team kind of plays together and who the stars are there, then maybe you can talk about max contracts. But no, I think he'll get a good contract from the Pelicans, but I wouldn't expect it to be a max. I think too many maxes are going out right now, and it's just not, and especially with money going to kind of be stagnant. Arlene DJ 722, what's up, Arlene? They play Bucks on 16th, and Giannis found his three-point shot, had 50 points tonight. Scary. Giannis is just scary in general. I don't care. Anytime, look here, let's get the December schedule. I want to get this real fast just because it's pretty difficult. I know they have to play really tough teams. They have to play Denver and Utah on back-to-back. They have to play the Clippers on Christmas. Let's see. And like you said, they have to play Milwaukee. So let's go right to December and just kind of go through this real fast. They play December 1st at home versus Dallas. That's going to be a tough game. That was a tough game when you played them in Dallas. It's going to be a tough game playing them here in LA, especially with the way that Luka Doncic is playing, especially the way that Luka and Kristaps Porzingis are playing together. That's going to be a very, very difficult game. And then immediately you have to go at Denver, at Utah on back-to-back nights, get a day off, go to Portland, which Portland has not been playing well, but hey, LeBron versus Melo, kind of like that matchup. That's going to be fun. Minnesota at home, who's not a bad team. Then you have to fly cross-country at Orlando, who has been playing good defense, maybe still not fully there, and then at Miami, where you have a day off in between before playing in Miami. I would just chalk that up as a loss right now. That's just a brutal. Anytime you have a night off in Miami, where LeBron used to play, they're going out, they're getting hammered, and then that's a tough game at 5 o'clock in Miami. 2 at Atlanta, which they should be able to win that game, at Indiana, then at Milwaukee. Again, Indiana is, anytime you're playing some of these East teams, I expect to win versus Indiana. Milwaukee's going to be difficult. Come home to play Denver, then home against the Clippers, which is basically both ways. Those are tough games. Again, up in Portland, which the Lakers, no matter what, whether they should win that game or not, they've had a lot of trouble in Portland over their history. And then again, at home against Dallas to end off December. That's a tough December. And if they can get through that, how many games is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games in December. If you can get that, if you can get through that at like 10-4, that's a hell of a December, and you're really just pushing past everybody because you should be able to beat New Orleans and Washington for the next 2 games. So you should be right around 17-2 going into December. If you can win 14 of those games and be at 31-6, you are just killing. And yes, DJV incredible. December will define who this Lakers squad is. That's a tough 14 games. Absolutely will define. It will say a lot about this team. It'll say a lot about the second unit. It will say a lot about Frank Vogel. It will say a lot about what he does to make adjustments, because all we've seen so far from Frank Vogel is him being able to make adjustments at halftime, in between games, seeing things and changing them on the fly that really show why he's been such a great coach for them to get them to 15-2. But yes, December is going to say a lot about this team. There's not very many easy games. And when you're in a really tough schedule like that, of 14 games of basically all tough teams, and a lot of them, almost all of them on the road, those are the types of games that even against the bad teams, that you start falling into a rut, and you start playing in trap games, because you're so worried about all these tough teams that you're playing in a row over and over again on their home floor, that you kind of fall into traps against teams like at Orlando, at Atlanta, at Indiana. Some of those games may not even be that easy, but those are games that they should win because of who they are, because they are the Lakers. And think about it this way: the Indiana Pacers are 10-6, so that's not easy. The Heat 12-4, the Bucks 14-3. All teams that you're going to be playing. The Magic are 6-10, but they have one of the better defenses in the league. According to opponents' point per game, they are the second best team in all of the NBA, and holding teams to about 102 points. That's the second best in all of the NBA. So it's going to be a tough game. Mikey 14-220, huge fan, Berg. Thank you, appreciate that. Do you think Andre Iguodala will play for the Lakers or the Clippers? We were just talking about it a few minutes ago, but it's up to Memphis. And if Memphis doesn't want to trade, if it doesn't want to let him go, it's going to have to be done by trade. If you cannot trade for him, if you don't find some kind of package that they want, that they like, then they're going to trade him to whoever the hell they want to. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes, because they're not going to release him according to him. Who knows if they wait till after the trade deadline and then release him, because they just couldn't get what they wanted when it got to the trade deadline. But somebody's going to pony up for him, and it's going to be a good team that's right in the middle of a playoff race. So if you can get him, you got to go get him. I just don't know who you trade or who Memphis would even want. So it's going to be a little bit difficult there. Let's see. I got Laker Facts 15-2, baby. That's right. Love that. Al's Acoustic, what are the chances of getting Iguodala? We just got through that. Alpha Male 213, Greg, outside of health, are the Clippers the biggest obstacle for the Lakers? Yes. I do think the Clippers are a very good team, and we're just kind of seeing what's happening with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George playing together. They haven't lost together, if I'm incorrect. I don't think they have. But either way, the Clippers are very, very difficult, and they're a very good defensive team, and the guys just get into your face. I mean, when you're going to have guys, I think that Christmas Day game is really going to say a lot, because basically everybody should be healthy at that point once you get to Christmas. So that's going to say a lot about this team, and both teams really, because the Clippers are going to have to put out everything they got to beat this team. And I think it's going to be a great matchup between the two. I don't Ireland loves to say, who's going to guard Anthony Davis? That's the biggest thing, because you can throw both Kawhi and Paul George at LeBron James, and then guys have to be hitting their open shots. Like, when Troy Daniels plays, he needs to hit his open shots in those games. When KCP has to hit those open shots. If Quinn Cook just gets off the bench, he needs to hit them. When you're playing against teams like the Spurs, it's easy to hit them because you don't really care about them. But when you're in a game against the Clippers, and these mean a lot, and they mean a lot to these guys, those are tougher shots. There's a little bit of extra pressure that comes for playing with those guys, so against those guys. So we'll see, and I really, really hope that that's a big win for those guys. Blake St. Clair really needs some consistent bench production to be able to give the starters, LeBron and AD in particular, some quality rest during the end of games. Yes, totally agree with you, Blake. And here's the thing. All right. We need to put this out there immediately, okay? This is not hating. I'm going to talk to you about a guy who I think is struggling and not playing well. That doesn't mean that I'm hating on him or that I hate him or I think he's a bad player. I think he's going to be a big part of this team. I don't think Kyle Kuzma has been playing well recently. I don't think that he seems right. I know he's hit a bunch of three-pointers in a row, in a couple games in a row. He's starting to get a little bit of his hop back, but we talked about it over and over again. He still wasn't going to be ready to be back to full until we got into December. It's been too long, and he just doesn't seem right. He's a very frustrating player to watch because you know how good he can be, and the fact of the matter is that he's not being consistent, and he's not he's not playing within the flow of the offense as well as he probably should be doing. And even on defense, it's still, he seems a little bit behind in that sense as well. So most of the things that you're seeing from Kuz, where he gets to the basket, he seems a little bit out of control still, like he did last year. He doesn't seem like he fully gets it yet. And when that happens, watch out, because he could be really good, but he's just not there yet. And I'm sorry. I like Kuz. I think he's going to be a great player for this team. He's supposed to be the third scorer for this team. I just don't see it happening right now. This is not the Kuz that I need to be watching on a daily basis, and you guys need to. We need to be seeing him a lot more consistent, hitting a more consistent jump shot, finding his way just to the basket, just being a cutter for LeBron and hitting open shots. I don't need him to be the focal point as much, but I do want to see him on the second team playing off of guys like Rondo and I guess usually Troy Daniels is out there. Him being the number one scorer right now is not working, and he needs to be able to. I don't know if it has to do with having LeBron or AD on the floor with him, or it's just because he's not fully back. And once he's fully back, then we can have a little bit deeper conversation about it. I just don't think he's ready. Laker facts, Kuz needs to be consistent. Exactly, Kuz, yep. His shot selection is bad. Yes, he takes shots in the middle of it, at the beginning of a shot clock, when it's around 20 seconds. It doesn't matter if there's a guy flying at him. He just looks for, if he thinks he's open, he's taking the shot. And I didn't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've been playing a lot of NBA 2K20, and I got myself onto the Lakers and playing really well on it, which is really fun to say. But Kuz is the most frustrating player on NBA 2K20, and you see it kind of happening there too. It's so crazy how 2K actually mimics the game pretty well. It's very odd to say that, but it does. A lot of things that you see in 2K, you see on the floor in real life too. And Kuz is the frustrating guy on my team, and I actually am just about to take his minutes completely away because he drives me nuts. That's on 2K20, not in real life. I need him on the floor in real life. Kuzma is Kuzma, no D and inconsistent 3. I think that's going to change, hopefully at least. Kyle for Iggy and Troy Daniels, fisticuff 2. There's the thing. Is that what you want? I mean, you're giving away a guy in Kuzma who should be and could be the third star for a guy who's only going to be around for 1 year, half a year, plus you're giving 2 3-point shooters away. I just don't see it happening. Doughboy Mex 1981 Bergman. Yep, that's the last name. Thanks, man. What's up? Blake St. Clair on YouTube. I agree on Kuzma. I'd even go as far to say he had a good run in his rookie year, but hasn't lived up to the hype since. Hasn't been easy with missing games, but still troubling for this season so far. And this is not me getting down on Kuzma and thinking that he's not going to be a big deal. He's still not ready yet. I mean, look, let's just say this again. He hadn't played since August, the beginning of August, the end of July, when he was with Team USA. He got injured. He missed all of preseason. He missed most of the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden, now you kind of throw him in, and he came back a little bit slowly, but at the same time, then he started hitting some shots, and all of a sudden he was like, oh, look at Kuzma. He's great again. He's not consistent yet. He's not ready yet. I mean, I'm hoping that by the beginning to the middle of December, that's when we can really start saying, all right, something's going on with Kuz, either positively or negatively. SoCal King 32. I think Kuz is going to start getting it together after the All-Star break. That's a long time, and yeah, look, if he gets it together then, hopefully this 15-2 start really helps push towards that later on, so that you banked some of these wins early. But at the same time, hopefully he's hitting that stride a little bit before then. Kevin Meteora says Peja Stojakovic is an all-time three-point shooter. Yeah, he was an all-time three-point shooter. I mean, I don't have his numbers right in front of me, but the dude was a killer. After the All-Star break, that's when I think we can make an assessment. Maybe, I think by the middle of December, that's when we can really start seeing, like, okay, this is what's going on with Kuz. It's been enough time. He's played in enough games. He's had enough time to kind of figure out how to play with LeBron and Anthony Davis. So I think around that time, that's when we'll get there. But you're not wrong about after the All-Star break. Let's see. Marcus Smith, 18. McGee has his head in the clouds, too. Look, you're going to get good games and bad games from McGee, especially from your two bigs. They're not a key focal point of this offense. I think we need to really make that clear. If they're going to play well, whatever they give you is always extra. So McGee tonight, he had 8 and 6 with a block. That's kind of what you expect from JaVale McGee. He played 22 minutes, which is a little bit higher than he's normally getting. So, look, 8 and 6 with a block, that's about what you're looking for. Now, Dwight Howard, that's not what you're looking for. He had 0 points and 1 rebound. He didn't take any shots, but he also only had 1 rebound. He fouled a ton. He is a walking foul. It's not just, and this is the problem that I'm having currently with Dwight Howard, is that he just fouls on every play, and they just can't call him every single time. But he is consistently fouling, whether it's on the offensive end or the defensive end. He is consistently being called for fouls because he is actually doing that, and he's shocked by it. So I don't really get that either. Kevin Meteora says, Alan Sliwa said LeBron surpassed Peja in the all-time three-point shooting. Oh, I mean, possibly. I haven't seen that. LeBron is number 5 all-time in field goals made. He is now 5th all-time in field goals made. So that's a huge, huge spot for him for LeBron, so good for you, man. Let's see. Aaron Larsoul, Bergie, what's good? What's up, Aaron? Thanks for coming on. Always appreciate when you stop by here. And when you get back in town, hopefully you'll come with me after the game if you're not too busy, and come across to the studio, and you can sit here and talk with me. You can say as much as you can, being as part of the official Lakers podcast. But what's up, Aaron? So if anybody has questions on Periscope right now, Aaron is going to be answering them on there as well as talking and listening to me. But for the most part, if you got a question for Aaron, have at it. Go ahead and ask him. Blake St. Clair, did Dwight really get 1 rebound? Yes, he only got 1 rebound, but he was in a lot of foul trouble because he is, like I said, a walking foul. And it's just, it's too much. Every time he sets a screen, he can easily be called for a foul, but they can't call it every single time. That's just kind of who he is. They're going to get away with it. It happened last year with Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler was a guy that, just because he's been around forever and he knows how the game's played, that he's going to get called for an offensive foul every once in a while. Those are the type of things that's going to happen. Laker facts. KCP to the bench once Bradley gets back. KCP has been playing great as of late. Yes, he has been. I don't think Frank Vogel works in that way, though. I think he's going to allow Avery Bradley to go back into the starting rotation and be starting lineup and be the defensive guy that he had been. Avery Bradley wasn't playing poorly. He was still getting 12 points a night, sometimes a little bit lower, but he was putting in buckets. So I don't expect him to be taken off. I don't think Frank Vogel's that type for you to lose your spot due to injury. But KCP has been playing great, and hopefully that can translate over into the second unit once Bradley gets back. If it doesn't, you can always make that switch again. Marcus Smith 818. This team needs another punch in the mouth to stay humble. We need to be locked in to slay Houston, Boston, and the Clippers. Yes, they do need to stay locked in. I think they have the ability to turn it on whenever they feel like it and be able to beat teams like Houston, Boston, and the Clippers towards the end of games. But they need to get through what they're doing right now, and beating these bad teams, knowing that they can win them, is a very important piece of the puzzle to them. The fact that they know that they can come back, but you can't be like this against those teams. The teams that are just gonna shoot like lights out from 3, like Houston is going to, and get to the free throw line and do all those things. You have to be shooting well from the field, and that's always a tough thing. There you go. Yes, LeBron is now 18th all time on 3 points per game. So there you go. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate that. Mecca Zuth says, do you think not losing is hindering the Lakers' growth because losing teaches forcing adjustments? No, I don't believe that is the truth. I don't think losing. Yes, losing can be a shot to the face and get you ready to go for the next game. We're like, this is the things we need to work on. But I think Frank Vogel's different, and I think this coaching staff is different than what you're kind of used to. I think Vogel and Lionel Hollins and Jason Kidd are all seeing things that are happening in the game that are causing them to be behind in games in the third quarter, or starting off games slow, whether it's on transition defense, whether it's the perimeter defense, whatever it happens to be. This team, Frank Vogel kind of sees it and is a huge analytics guy, so he's seeing all the types of things that he needs to look at, and he's changing them on the fly. And I think that's more the reason why we're 15-2 and not so much because they haven't lost the game yet. I think you're winning these games because of the adjustments at halftime, because of the adjustments from game to game. So it's not, I mean, look, getting a loss, maybe it'll help out in some way, but I think that them just trying, I just wouldn't be upset with a loss. Let's put it that way. If they ever lose games, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't matter if you lose a game or here and there. They're not going to go 82-0, obviously. They're not going to go 80-2. There's going to be losses. They're going to have at least 10 to 15 losses on the season at the minimum. All right? So expect some losses. Don't be upset with losses. But all I know so far is that we're seeing Frank Vogel make adjustments to fix the things that were happening. Let's see. I got happy to do it. Appreciate it. Blake St. Clair. I honestly thought it was a typo on the stat sheet. Yeah, nope. Laker facts. Dwight's also gets held a lot in the post. He's always fighting someone off of him. Yeah, because he's kind of doing the same thing, and yes, absolutely. But what we're seeing is a lot of fouls are not being called down low, and there was a whole article from, I think his name was Brian Botkin. I think that was who it was written by for CBS Sports, and he wrote a whole article about how LeBron James, when is not getting to the free throw line this year, and obviously things changed after that article. The first game back after that article, he gets to the free throw line 8 times, which is way more than you've been seeing most nights. He went to he apparently, according to the article, he gets to the basket 47% of the time. 47% of his shots are coming from the basket, so essentially 50%, half of his shots are coming at the basket, and he's not getting any foul calls whatsoever. It's the whole thing that happened with Shaq. It's the whole thing that happens in other areas with guys that Kobe had happened to, Jordan had happened to. When you're a superstar like that and you are consistently at the rim, they can't call it every single time. So they just kind of stop calling it because you're not on the ground or you're not, screaming or whatever it happens. You're not getting hit so hard that you should be missing the shot. So they're just not calling it. It's almost like a no blood, no foul type thing. But the fact of the matter is he's getting hit. So he needs to be going to the free throw line. That's a big part of his game. He also, when he gets there, he needs to hit his free throws. That's another thing. Going 3 of 8 tonight is a problem. He was not hitting his free throws. So even if you get there, you got to hit him. And him going back to being a 60% free throw shooter, not what we're looking for. He needs it because he's going to start getting fouled at the end of games. And if he misses those shots at the end of games in a tight, close game, we're going to have to kill him for that. We're going to have to kill him for his 3-point shooting or for his free throw shooting if he's missing shots that could put you ahead in a game or tie up a game or something along those lines. And one that could put you up by 3 instead of by 2. All those things are going to start happening. He needs to hit those shots. Let's see. Blake St. Clair, I'm not worried about the Celtics. Fool's gold at this point. They match up terribly with the Lakers. A lot of teams match up terribly with the Lakers because nobody has the bigs that the Lakers do. So that's a really nice thing. Let's see. DJV Incredible. Any chance Cousins returns by the All-Star break? I wouldn't expect him back by the All-Star break. I think they're hoping for a little bit later in the season, but he is off. They dropped his court case, so he's kind of available once he's no longer injured. I don't know when that's going to be. That's totally up to him. And don't rush back if you're DeMarcus Cousins. We saw what happens when he did. He went from an Achilles injury, then he had a calf injury, and now he's got hurt his knees and he's hurt his legs. It's all the same leg. These are the types of things when you have Achilles injury, when you're starting to get a little bit older and you're a big guy, it starts hitting everywhere else because you're putting a little bit more pressure other places to back off on your Achilles, and everything starts getting hurt again. Laker Frax, LeBron was being aggressive because of the lack of calls. Of course he was, as he should. And you saw him going to the rack as much as possible. And think about it. I would love to see the numbers. I'm sure they're out there somewhere. And if anybody's out there that can find them, how many times he actually took shots at the rim, you will see that to only have 8 free throws, that's saying something. I know he made an and 1 or 2 in there, but for the most part, it's going to be, there's something else going on there. He's not getting called. There's a lot of fouls that are not being called, but you can't expect every one of them unless you're James Harden, because James Harden gets absolutely everything called for him. All right, let's see. Marcus Smith 818. Vogel said they are inquiring with the NBA about LeBron's calls. Yes, Marcus. That was the exact same article I was talking about from CBS Sports. Brian Botkin, I believe it was from. Tiago Ramon says, did Boogie have surgery already? It's a great question, and maybe Aaron would know. Oh, here we go. Aaron says, Cousins, we haven't heard anything about return timeline. My guess is we don't see him this year. That's exactly what you would kind of expect. And All-Star break was way too early, and even if he did come back at the All-Star break, he'd probably just get re-injured. And he did have surgery. Thank you, Aaron, for saying that. Yes, he did already have surgery. 71-10 season record for Mario Enigma. I mean, if that's what happens, fantastic. Let's see, over here on Instagram, I got Joe Cool 1967. After the last few losing seasons, I'm enjoying all the wins we're getting. Look, I mean, I wish I had it in front of me. I don't have it right in front of me, but the Lakers have 15 wins, and we're not even into December yet. It took last year when they were actually playing well and they got 14 wins, and it was right around, I think they were 14 something right around Christmas time. That was, or when they were like 14 or above 500, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly what it was at Christmas time, but they were playing really well. It still took them 22 games to get to 14 wins. They're at 15 wins right now, and it's November 20 something. What is it? 25th. That's unbelievable. It's so much more fun to watch the Lakers when they're winning. I don't care what anybody else says. Absolutely. Why stop at 71, says Blake Sinclair. Hey, look, we're fans. You can say whatever you want. You can say that the Lakers are going to go 80-2 if you feel like it. 75-7. Whatever the hell you want to say. But this team is very, very good. They're going to be a lot better. And it's going to just keep hopefully continuing to get better as guys just start hitting shots. That's the biggest thing, is that second team hitting more and more shots. All right, Sean Solo 44. KCP looking solid lately. Yes, he's been looking great. He was 3 for 5 from 3-point range again tonight. I don't have the graphic right in front of me, but there was something along the lines. You know what? Let me see if I can just find it for you real fast. Let's see if I can find this. We're going to go. You're going to do this with me. We're all going to just go to Showtime Forum. We're going to go to Showtime Forum together. And we're going to, because we have graphics up, and I want to make sure, I want to see if I can find that graphic that was talking about how many, how he's done since joining the starting rotation, not including today, because this was all right. So this is best starts, 14-2 from best start the Lakers have been was 15-1 in 2001, 2002, and now they're 15-2. So it's right along those lines. Let me see if I can find this. Steals leader. 13 total wins. Games it took 15 to, it was 15 games to get to 13 wins. Unbelievable. Come on, where's my KCP stat? Where's my KCP stat? No, can't find it. Too bad. Sorry. But you can find it somewhere. He's been great since he came into the starting lineup. All he's done is he's hitting like 80% from the 3-point range. He's averaging around 14 points, 15 points per game. He's getting rebounds. He's getting some assists. He's getting a steal or two. He's playing good defense. KCP, since being in the starting lineup, has been fantastic. I'm not even putting that lightly. He has been fantastic. All right, let's see. Remo W100 says, if Dwight can keep this level of play up through the season, can and or should he get signed? He is signed. It's just a non-guaranteed contract, so they can drop him whenever they want. It becomes guaranteed, I believe, and Aaron, you can help me out with this if you're still in there. January 15th, I believe, is the day that it becomes guaranteed contract. If someone has that in front of him, but I believe it's January 15th it becomes guaranteed. Yes, if he continues to play like he has, tonight was not the night that you want to talk about, but Dwight has completely changed his game around and is just a force on the inside anyway. Whether it's, even though he got 0 points, only 1 rebound tonight, the fact of the matter is he's usually getting around 3, 4, 5 points a game. He's hitting his free throws, which is shocking to me on the other end, because at the beginning of the year he was missing everything. However, I've seen him after game shooting free throws. I've seen him before game shooting free throws. Halftime he shoots free throws. Dude is trying to be a good free throw shooter, and that's a total change for who he turned out to be. So I'm very happy with everything I'm seeing from Dwight Howard. I'm very happy with everything I'm seeing from KCP right now. Again, 2 guys that I was killing early on, but things change when they start playing well. And if they start playing terribly again, I'm going to tell you that they're not playing well at that point either. Just like right now, Kuz is not playing well. Can he play well later on? Sure, and we'll go back and we'll change it around. But as of right now, he's not playing well after he started off playing really well. I did see that, by the way. Joe Cool, but we're not going to get into it. I don't feel like it. Faceless God, Greg, huge fan of what you do here and on the radio. I appreciate that. I was wondering, do you think at some point we should think about load managing some key players? West is crazy, and each playoff series can be 7 games. Yes and no. I think what you're going to see is a lot of against bad teams in the fourth quarter. You're going to hope that guys like LeBron and Anthony Davis just kind of sit, or they take longer breaks. I do think that if they want to take off a game here and there, totally fine with that. Pick and choosing the right game, I think, is a good thing to do. But right now, I don't think you need to do any type of load management. I think that a lot of teams do that. And I know that Kawhi is doing that, and there's other guys that are going to be doing a lot of that too. But LeBron doesn't want to, and what LeBron wants to do is whatever he's going to do. You're not going to tell him, hey, you're not playing tonight to load manage. If he's ready, look, he barely played any games last year. He was done. He after Christmas, he was done, and he didn't play any time. I think he came back for a little bit in February, and then he was out the entire offseason. So he's ready to go. He can play. He's going to play as many games as he can. Anthony Davis played 75 games and 75 games 2 and 3 years ago. Last year doesn't count because they were sitting him out of games because they didn't want him to get hurt and they were trying to trade him. So he didn't play at the end of half the season because the Pelicans didn't want to play Anthony Davis. So I'm expecting him to play 75 games. I'm expecting both of them to play 75 games. Nick Hamilton, LA. What's up, Nick? LBJ logging in too many minutes too soon. Again, yes, he's playing a lot of minutes right now, but he also sat out a lot of minutes. So if anytime he wants to sit, I'm all for it. Go ahead and sit down. I'm fine with it. And I think you guys are totally fine with it too. I want him healthy in March and April and May and June. I don't want him healthy. I do want him healthy, but those are when I really want him healthy. Him being healthy right now, it just doesn't change things. And now you got that 15-2 league. You got a tough schedule in December of 14 games that are all tough 14 games, no matter who you're playing, because the easy games inside of a tough 14 game stretch are all really hard games. So again, going there, hopefully if he wants to sit out a couple games, it probably won't be till January. DJV Incredible, why didn't we get this version of Dwight when he played with Kobe? Because he was a different guy, because he was in his head and he thought he was the star. He refused to play pick and roll. He refused to do anything that was not I am the star. And because of that, that's why you're seeing a different guy now, because he's not that guy anymore. I'm too late to the stream. What's your take on JaVale? Cheeto 408. I have not really talked about JaVale, except for the fact that he's essentially doing what you expect from JaVale. I mean, he's not amazing and he's not terrible. He's getting you 8 points, 6 assists, and a block or 2 blocks a game in 15 to 20 minutes. I'm fine with that. Making the shots that you need to make and getting a block here and there. Here's the thing. I don't think that he's amazing defensively anymore. I still think that he would work better on that second unit running with Kuz and Rondo and AC and all those guys. But at being in the starting rotation and playing well with LeBron and Anthony Davis, as long as he's getting some decent numbers, I'm okay with it, because those are all extra. Anything that you get from the center position that's not from Anthony Davis is just gravy. It's just extra. So I'm fine with how he's playing. I would like him to play better, but he's just JaVale McGee. He's a guy that he is a role player that gets you some points, some blocks, some rebounds. That's about it. That's what I'm looking for from him. Mekazuth says, should we have traded Kuz to the Pelicans instead of Ingram? See here, this is where he's going to happen. This is where you're going to start getting interesting. Brandon Ingram is not the Brandon Ingram you're seeing in New Orleans. He's not the same guy here in LA. So, no, I think the idea is that they wanted Kuz because they figure Kuz can be fit with LeBron James, where he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He can cut to the basket. He can hit three-point shots. He can be that third scorer and be okay with being the third scorer. When it comes to being being the number one scorer like he is in New Orleans without Zion Williamson, or even being the number 2 alongside Zion, that's a totally different game. So, no, I don't. I think Ingram, you had obviously... David Griffin wanted Lonzo and Ingram. Those were the 2 that they really, really wanted, and they got both of them. I don't think they really wanted Kuz as much. So not an option financially was for somebody. Was talking to Mekazuth. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but Donovan Bryan 8. Think Daniels is earning his minutes back? He did hit a 3-point shot tonight. Daniels needs to hit 3-pointers with consistency, especially when he's wide open in the corner. When he's wide open in the corner, which he's doing the correct thing, where he's floating to the corner, and so when LeBron rolls to the basket or AD rolls to the basket with the ball, they can just find an open guy in the corner. He has to hit them, because he gets too many shots that are wide open that he's missing. If he hits them with consistency, he'll get his minutes back, and he'll get even more minutes. It's just not totally there yet, but hopefully soon. Armand Bradford would love a scoring guard via buyout trade. I know you'd love a scoring guard, but I think you got to go back to being the 3-and-D guy. I think you need more defense and you need more 3-point shooting, because as of right now, Troy Daniels and Quinn Cook and KCP, or maybe KCP's hitting his shots, but the 3-point shooting is just too low. I think you need to start seeing them being hit with more regularity. Much better tonight. 42% from 3 is much better than it has been, but hitting 14 is good. But I mean, like Troy Daniels 3 for 3. Oh, he was good tonight. I didn't even realize he was 3 for 3 tonight. I knew Rondo was 3 for 3, but I did not realize that Daniels was. So hopefully, yeah, if he's hitting those shots, you'll see more minutes from him. But then the next game, he may go 0 for 5. It's just how he's kind of been right now. Cheeto 408, JaVale looks to be fatigued. I hope he does get some games to rest up. I wouldn't call him being fatigued. He's only getting 15 to 20 minutes, so he's not fully invested. I think this is what I've been saying about JaVale since the very beginning, and I know maybe you guys feel the same, maybe you don't. But you're going, like, he's a guy that's used to running. When he was playing with with the Warriors, he was a guy that was just running down the floor and having lobs from Klay Thompson and from Steph Curry, and he can get that more consistently as being the trailer with Rondo and Kuzma. He's not going to get it as much in a slower down half court type offense that you're seeing from the starters, and that's what they want it to be. It's a slower down, play well in half court, because guess what wins in the postseason? Half court offense. Let's see. I got Aaron Lessor was saying that the trade with Nola had to include both Bi and Lonzo to make the money work. Yes, absolutely. I mean, so that's another part of it, and they also added in Josh Hart, which I know a lot of people would like to see Josh Hart back, but I think he talked his way out of this team as well. And they wanted more. I mean, why wouldn't they want more? Let's see. Donovan Bryant 8. I don't think we've mentioned Caruso at all this stream. I think this is the first time we haven't mentioned Caruso. And I think we just say the same thing about Caruso game in and game out, because he's great on the defensive end. He does everything that you want. He stays in front of guys. He's not always going to be the major scorer. He's going to miss some shots, but he also is going to get to the basket at times. He's a good cutter. He stays in front of his defenders. He is a good defender, but the box score is never going to show you what you want to see from Alex Caruso. He is a guy that gets 5 points a game with 3 rebounds and an assist and a steal or two. But for the most part, he is good playing consistent defense, and that's kind of what you need. He is a shot in the arm. He brings energy to the team, and it's really nice to see. And you didn't see it so much from him tonight. That's why he only got 13 minutes, and he just wasn't, the Caruso we've been seeing. I don't expect him to be that every single game in and game out. SCHMUFC, can we talk about the defensive matchups against the Pelicans? Who's guarding BI and Drew? So most likely, I would assume on BI you're going to have Danny Green, because Danny Green is a very, very good defender. BI is going to he can be bothered. Good defenders can bother him, and Drew, you're going to see KCP on him, because KCP has been playing very good defense as well. But for the most part, those are the types of guys. It's going to be the bigger guards are going to be the ones moving over into those situations. And then when they're off the floor, I mean, anytime Rondo's guarding any one of those guys, it's going to be a problem. Let's see. Laker facts. Honestly, the only positive that came out of the trade for the Pelicans is Bi, Zoe, and Hart are meh. Bi's been playing great. I mean, he's been putting a lot of money. Or a lot of money. He's been putting up big numbers. I mean, the team isn't playing all that great. They started off slow, but at least they have, I think, 6 wins now, so they've been playing a lot better. But they were going to take some time to get used to each other again, like with the other pieces on the team. The Jackson Hayes, Zion's not even there yet. It's going to be a whole nother team soon. And this is a revenge game for them. Faceless God. Regarding Ingram versus Kuzma, let's be honest and see why they wanted him over Kuzma. He was number 2 pick, and for a reason. Yeah. We were talking about the number 2 pick versus the 26th pick. I think it was 26th pick for Kuzma. Starts on Drew, and LBJ starts on BI. You think LBJ starts on BI? I thought I would have seen, I guess BI is probably too big for Danny Green, but yeah, I could see that too. But I could see Danny Green still being the guy that's guarding BI, because you're not going to put Danny Green on who is starting for them right now, because Lonzo's coming off the bench. I haven't been paying enough attention from the Pelicans. Sorry. Cheeto 408, do you think you will ever get MT on the street? Look, me and MT are buddies. I like MT. MT likes me. No, he's not, because after the game, he's gone. He doesn't want to do any of this extra stuff. So no, I don't expect to see MT on the stream, but I would love to have MT on whenever he wants, because dude knows basketball more or better than anybody. DJ V Incredible, did Lonzo Ball's dad ruin his Laker career? I don't think LeVar helped his career, but Lonzo was a victim of circumstance. As much as the fact he was injury prone, he wasn't getting into games. I thought Lonzo was great. I thought he was the best of the 3. Yes, I know people are going to kill me and say Brandon Ingram was, but I really thought he was going to be the best of the 3, and it had nothing to do with LeVar. It has Lonzo needed to be a part of that trade to get Anthony Davis, and to get Anthony Davis, you do it every single day of the week, no matter what. And you're seeing what you're getting with Anthony Davis playing alongside LeBron James. So no, I don't think LeVar hurt his Laker career. I just think that he had to be moved out because of Anthony Davis. Davianka says the Lakers didn't pick Kuzma over BI. They picked Kuzma over Hart. Yeah, probably, and I would probably rather have Kuzma over Hart too. Hart is injured again. I don't know if he's back yet, but he was injured before, and he's just You know, like I love Hart's game, and I thought he was going to be those guys going to be around 12 years and just be a role player that just does the things that you kind of need him to. 3-and-D type guy, plays decent defense, hits a three, gets to the basket, plays good defense. But he's getting injured a lot, and he's not the type of guy I expected to. Zoe's ankles are a huge problem. Yeah, Laker facts, absolutely. He went out with another ankle injury. Did you watch that play? By the way, he turned his ankle once, kept running, kept going up the floor, and then turned it again a second time. Like his ankles those are bad. Guys have problems with ankles early on. Look at Steph Curry. I'm not comparing him to Steph Curry. I'm just saying that ankle injuries are a thing he needs to work on. He needs to build up that muscle around in your legs and in the lower part of your body, and hopefully gets a little bit better. Have more of a high top that really holds that in, because that's bad right now. He's hurting it way too much. Cheeto 408. It had everything to do with those crappy shoes he was wearing out, but he's not wearing them anymore, and he's still hurting his ankles. Laker facts, Hart and Zoe stay injured. Those are the types of things that are happening. Will LaMelo go pick number 1 from out Breezy? I mean, he's playing really well in Australia, and what that means for here, I don't know if they'll still go with it. I don't know too much about what's happening in college basketball right now, because I have not paid attention to college basketball, except for the Bruins, and they're just meh. So I don't know who the best player coming out is anymore. I don't know who the right guy is, but he very well could be number 1 pick. He's playing great in Australia against pros. Aaron Larsoul, GB, remind me Wednesday, and I'll sit next to Michael on the bus to the airport, ask him a couple questions. Oh, yeah, absolutely will. So we can do that. Wednesday, especially coming off that game, that'd be a great one. So Aaron will sit next to Michael if I remind him. So somebody remind me on Twitter to do it, because I'm going to forget, because I have a terrible memory. But I'll text Aaron, and I'll have him sit next to Michael and ask him some of the questions that you guys are answering. And that way he's kind of on the stream, but not really on the stream. You know what I'm saying? So... all right, I'm just going to answer about 1 or 2 more questions, then I'm going to get out of here. It's been about an hour, so I'm kind of done. I'm just not going to lie to you. Blake St. Clair says, Pelicans have more to worry about than Zoe. Zion is not going to be the player they think he will be. Look, I don't know enough about Zion. From what I saw in college, he was a very good player. Obviously, he's a stud to be the number 1 overall pick. I see him dunk a lot. I haven't seen too much from his jump shot. But he needs to have an all-around game to really build into that number 1 overall pick, and he very well could. I just don't know too much about him, so I'm not going to say much. Kevin Meteora, why isn't there any discussion of Sharif O'Neal, Shaq's son? Sharif is just, he's getting playing time with the Bruins, but it's not a ton. And he's just he had that surgery, the heart surgery, and he missed all of last year. I don't expect him to be a superstar at any point, but he very well could. I just don't think he's that. Unless he really takes some big steps over the next couple of years, I think he's just going to be a 4-year player that ends up going to a G League, maybe making a team here and there, but he's obviously not Shaq, because nobody is Shaq. THT, any playing time? Probably not. No. Al's Acoustic, thanks again, Greg, for the dance party hoedown on your phone. This is on my phone. So yeah, that's going to do it for me. And yes, Jaime Jaquez, I don't know how exactly to say it, who plays on the UCLA Bruins basketball team, is pretty good. He's a good 3-point shooter. We saw he had a couple shots in the last couple games, but for the most part, that team is just okay. Losing to Hofstra is a problem. I mean, they're just not... They need another year or 2 before they're actually any good. I do believe in Mick Cronin, though, but this isn't UCLA basketball talk. This is Laker talk. But that's going to do it for me. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back on Wednesday after the game against the New Orleans Pelicans, and that is going to be an interesting game. That if they win that game, then they go to 16-2 and sweep the road trip, which is kind of shocking to me. I thought they would go 3-1. Right now they're 3-0. So that's also. Sorry, I saw something from Out Breezy not talking about the Rams. I'm not a Rams fan, so the Rams got destroyed by Lamar Jackson, and that's all because of the Mason curse. So you can all go blame Mason for that. I'm going to try and get that out on the air tomorrow on Mason Island. But anyway, I'll be here on Wednesday after the New Orleans Pelicans game. I'm done. See ya. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you always. I'm out of here. See ya.